it is exactly 4 minutes gone past the hour of 9 on the AM side, and it does feel good to be here again to talk politics and current affairs. This time we'll be looking into the NNPCL just once again. All right, and somebody be asking me, UD, why are we even talking about the NNPCL? Well, yes, we will keep talking about the NNPCL because the truth is there are implications. Should we not even talk about the NNPCL? I mean, should the NNPCL not work, right? Should the NNPCL not work, trust me, we will be seeing quite a lot of happenings that will affect, even to the very purchase power of our Nigerian naira, even to the food insecurity that we are facing, even to the places of allocation and distribution of resources. I mean, the NPCL is tied to all of this, right? I must tell you, because the Nigerian National, Petroleum Company Limited plays a vital role in Nigeria's economy, and any inefficiencies or controversies surrounding its operation can have a far-reaching consequence. If the current challenges persist, and Nigeria and its citizens may face several difficulties, and it will come from the economic impact to energy security, to matters that concern social consequences where there's going to be increased hardship. I mean, higher fuel prices, scarcity can also be disproportionately affecting vulnerable populations, and this will thereby exacerbate poverty and inequality. I mean, there will even be public unrest. That's the truth, because prolonged fuel shortages, price hikes can lead to public frustration, protest, potential social unrest. All right. And then, of course, if you're looking at the energy part, I mean, inefficient operations and supply chain distributions or disruptions, actually, it can also result in fuel shortages affecting transportation, businesses, daily life as well. It will have a very, very strong impact on industries, because when you combine fuel scarcity and price increases, how it's going to impact industries? Lord, it will lead to higher production cost, reduced economic activity, and potential job losses. And guess who is going to be feeling the brunt? You think it's the higher ups? No, it is you and I that ply the road with our Legacies Benz. We're the ones that will be feeling the brunt of it. All right, so that's why we need to talk about the NNPCL. I mean, are you even aware that we run a an economy that is monotonous, in a sense that the NNPCL is the only one that's driving the revenue that we are having in this country. I mean, take away the NNPCL and our major source of revenue is over and out. Trust me. I mean, where do you think we are having the trillions of naira to give to state governments as allocation now, where it has tripled? Yeah, that's right, allocations. Yes. Okay, you're getting the picture now. Right. Now, that being said, it is very pertinent, right, to look into these matters, right? But just recently, we saw where the NNPCL GCEO, I'm talking about Bashir Bayo Ojulari, had come out to revealing that the NNPC is under attack. And he's also defending refinery revival plans. So, and I didn't know that the refinery, had revival plans. The last time that I checked, when it comes to the NNPCL, we were told audaciously that we should give the NNPC 3 months, as when Ojulari got into the picture after Milikari's was deposed. Yeah. And is it 3 months or 6 months now that we just wanted to rework the refineries and that it will get, working again. But 3 months, 6 months down the line, oh well, here we are. Oh well. We're still waiting on the NNPC now. But what exactly is the bone of contention? Just when I thought we will be looking into really talking about the issue of Ojulari saying that the NNPC was under attack, this morning we saw where the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPCL, is seeking a 60 billion US dollar investment to rehabilitate, refurbish. I'm just trying to give it a different, is it adjective now? Different words that have been used over time. We want to revamp, rehabilitate, refurbish. We want to reestablish, re-engineer. I think now is revamp. So we want to revamp, the refineries, increase crude oil production. And according to him, by Ojulari, that is the group chief executive officer of NNPC, the investment will help boost the country's refining capacity to 500,000 barrels per day by 2030. And still with the NNPCL, they've also they've come out, well, where the NNPCL is Nigeria National Petroleum Company Limited, I don't know why I'm being stuck with that now, isn't losing $500 billion monthly to refinery operations. According to Ojulari, the group chief executive officer of NNPC, the company was losing between so they're not losing 500 billion US dollars. Now stay with me now, but they are losing between 300 million US dollars and 500 million US dollars monthly while operating the Port Harcourt refinery. So this significant loss was due to inefficiencies and years of neglect, resulting in less than 40% of crude inputs being converted into usable products. So Ojulari is emphasizing that the refineries were not only financially draining, but also technically flawed, making it essential to halt operations and seek sustainable solutions. To address the issue, though, NNPC is considering partnerships with professional refinery operators to ensure commercial viability as well as revive the refineries. Okay, so that is where NNPC is going right now. But let's break down in simple terms, the angle whereby Ojulari is revealing that the NNPCL is under attack and he's defending, refinery revival plans. Now, the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited is trying to fix its refineries. And these are facilities that process crude oil into usable products like gasoline, like diesel, like jet fuel and all, yeah? So the NNPC is led by Ojulari, and who he's trying to make the refineries work better. Why is this important? If the refineries are fixed, Nigeria can produce more of its own fuel rather than relying on imports. I bet you already know that. This could save the country money, create jobs, help the economy grow. But what is the challenge? Now, there are some people who don't want the refineries to be fixed, and they are trying to stop Ojulari and his team from succeeding, and this is making it hard for Ojulari to do his job. But to overcome the challenges now, Ojulari and his team, they really need to work together with stakeholders, other stakeholders, including the government, local communities, to ensure that the refineries are fixed and running smoothly. They also need to be transparent and accountable in their operations. All right. So, but if the refineries are fixed, Nigeria can produce more of our own fuel. We'll create jobs. We'll increase energy security, stability. We will improve the environment by reducing pollution from imported fuel. All right. So overall, refinery revival is an important initiative, and it can have positive impact on Nigeria's economy and energy security. All right, but let's dig deeper into the discourse this morning, because Our guest will be already standing by, and he's going to be engaging us. I mean, I'm talking about Comrade Gerald now, Okachi. He's going to be adding his voice shortly in the discourse, right? So, following the removal of Milikiari now, who's currently under investigation, and I bet is not even in the country as we speak now, Ojulari's leadership has faced internal rancor and criticism from some high-ranking personnel within the NNPCL. Now, these concerns have also been raised by the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, IPMAN, if you recall, regarding Ojulari's leadership. Despite these challenges, Ojulari has seemingly remained, committed to its mandate to revive Nigeria's moribund refineries, as well as increase oil production. Meanwhile, the coalition of Niger Delta groups has expressed support for Bayo Ojulari, who happens to be the GCEO of NNPCL, and President Bola Tinubu, commending the ongoing reforms in the oil and gas sector. I mean, the coalition noted that Ojulari has introduced measures that boosted crude oil production, revitalized infrastructure, and extended empowerment projects to host communities. Yes, when it comes to the place of boosting or revitalized infrastructure, that's true. That's true. Boosting crude oil production, oh yes, very, very true. And empowerment projects to host communities, that I cannot really attest to. But furthermore, though, this development is also suggesting that Ojulari's effort to reform the oil, industry is gaining traction, right? Some key stakeholders within the Niger Delta region are expressing support for his initiative. So the backing from the coalition of Niger Delta groups could also help to bolster Ojulari's position and facilitate further progress in the industry. Now, you should recall that in April of 2025, President Bola Tinubu appointed Ojulari as the GCEO of NNPCL, tasking him with reviving the nation's refineries and increasing oil production to 3 million barrels per day. And since assuming office, Ojulari has prioritized reviving the nation's refinery, considering the incorporated joint venture model to ensure, sustainability and profitability. But let's get with you, Comrade Gerald Okachi. Welcome aboard this morning.
Yes, a very good morning to you, Dan, and to our beautiful and great listeners on one of the standing radio station in FCT, Nigeria.
Appreciate that. Appreciate your thoughts on that one. And comrade, we have seen the dark days. Probably we are still in the dark days when it comes to matters that concern the NNPCL and the moribund refineries, which yet again is needing about 60, let me see now, be sure, about 60 billion US dollars, to revamp our refineries so that we can increase crude oil production. And the NNPCL GCEO Bayo Bashir Ojulari has also said that we have been losing 300 million US dollars, between 300 to 500 million US dollars monthly while operating, the Port Harcourt refinery. In fact, it says it is due to the inefficiencies and years of neglect, resulting in less than 40% of crude oil, crude input being converted into usable product. And now he's also out telling us how the NNPC is under attack, and that the revival of the refinery seems to be the way out. And one of the family members that asked, a question, I'm talking about Abbas. Abbas has said, what do Nigerians really want? Do we want the refineries revamped? or we want the refineries sold off. Exactly. And then, of course, we've also heard from another family member who has said that, look, this is yet another distraction. That this is yet another way of distracting Nigerians from talking matters that concern governance and seeing how we can indeed make form a formidable force for 2027 so that we can alleviate the poverty that we face as a people. If you're wrapping all of these in your mind, Comrade Gerald, what are your thoughts?
Well, I'm rather not surprised with the shenanigans that is going on in NNPCL, and I forecasted it, and it appears like NNPC has become a cash cow in the Nigerian economy. That's anybody that comes, we use it to trick, do Nigerians, the more you look, the less you see. It becomes like when we had the Bisareka, who headed the aviation ministry under Buhari, who came and organized the highest number, Yahoo, if I may put it that way, to over 200 million Nigerians. This is what we are getting in NNPCL. This narrative or pushback that the current MD is trying to put to the media, that is Ojulari, I think is a form of distraction. It's a form of, trying to curry sympathy or favor. From the time he was appointed in April to date, he has been one controversy to another. Recently, he was accused of hiring over 5 jets to Kigali in Rwanda for top management retreat. Whereas such a thing can happen here in Nigeria. It can happen anywhere. It can happen in Calabar, it can happen in Bayelsa, it can happen in Kaduna, any place, even Abuja here. And that tells you the kind of team we have. And that investigation, leads to indictment of Atiku Abubakar's in-law, which have been blacklisted by EFCC. So I see it as a pushback. Just recently, early this month, reports have it that he resigned. Some say he was coerced. Some say that EFCC and the DSS, are working either pari passu or in tandem to, do investigation with regards to some of the things that are oozing out from the management of that NNPCL. At the end of the day, the presidency intervened from the reports and is still in charge. If Nigeria, from reports from 2010 to 2020, we spent a whopping sum of 11 trillion naira. Over 11 trillion naira. In revamping, rehabilitating. There's no vocabulary they have not used with regards to these 4 refineries that we have. And up till now, none of them is producing. Under Mela Kyari, they spent over $3 billion on 3 refineries. And he did Nigeria what Sirika did Nigeria with painting, bringing Kenya Airways and paint it in form of Nigerian Airways. They say that the Port Harcourt refinery have started working. They show some, the more you look, the less you see. When some of us, try to do constructive criticism to find out actually what is happening there, because the report are saying that they are not actually refining. Some are saying they are. There's different kind of reports that came out from there. The press singers will target that these people do not want or hate Nigeria, so they don't want anything good in Nigeria with this particular government. And at the end of the day, it becomes what it is. None of the refineries are producing. it becomes any MD that comes will make his own proposal, and it will run in billions of dollars. Meanwhile, while we are rehabilitating, reconstructing, revamping, whatever vocabulary any of the management that comes on board decide to use, Dangote started from scratch to be one of the largest refineries in the world. Buha started from scratch and have achieved almost 80% of the project. Many other refineries started from scratch and they are progressing, but this one is ordinary maintenance. Maintenance that takes every year. You begin to hear one grammar, one excuse, one reasonable excuse to confuse even both the learned and the non. Come on, that is because we are running a system that do not punish bad behaviors. We are running a system that patronize and praise corrupt officials. We are running a system that is filled with bigotry, tribalism, paddy kind of system. That jettisons merit. That when you talk, they will begin to profile where you come from or what you stand for, not really taking the message. It's rather unfortunate. So if the NNPCL is coming to tell us, as of today, there were attacks against the NNPCL, that is by MD NNPCL, that is the Ojulari. He should be courageous enough to tell us where the attack is coming from. What kind of attack that they are pushing back to NNPCL? You don't just make a sweeping statement, just to make it look as if some people are against your innovative idea. Whereas, just few months you have been in that office, it has been from one issue or the other. Of course, it's obvious that it's opening a lot of worms or cans of worms against the previous management. It's good for our nation. It's good for our economy. But we have long past this level. I think it's time we look at privatizing this NNPCL. I think we said about privatizing this refinery. Many people kicked against it, including organized labor. But we have seen that oftentimes we have struggled to even maintain one out of the 4 refineries that we have. Look at the mismanagement with regards to stake we have with Dangote Refinery. It shows you the level of wickedness. I don't know whether to put it incompetent, because I don't think it's the issue of incompetence. It's deliberate, sabotage. The wickedness we saw in issues of stake we have with Dangote Refinery, which is one of the things that is even keeping the former CBN Governor Mefele where he is today. You will get the dollars, instead of to use it for the purpose, you go into Jamboree. I think it's time we begin to, of course we have capital offense in our offenses. Time have come to, we should reduce the struggle for justice system. If you are found wanting, if possible, you will use China system. Eliminate those wicked and staunch corrupt officials. It will serve as deterrent and it will sanitize the system. Not using insecticides or fragrance on people that have jeopardized this country from growing.
Comrade Gerald.
Look at the management of the subsidy by the NNPCL. The inconsistency of the level of stability we have in the energy sector today with regards to fuel is because of this private sector that have come in. That is the likes of Dangote. If it were to be solely dependent on NNPC, believe you me, by now we'll be buying a liter of fuel around 1,500, just to force maybe the government to go back into subsidy.
But Comrade Gerald, in your opening statement, one of the things you said was that ever since Ojulari got aboard, it has been one controversy to the other, right? But some, political observers, especially those from the oil sector, would say that this is a good sign. Why? Let's give it to Ojulari. Let's give it to the man. I mean, he has introduced a transparent digital-first system to prioritize accountability and value for money, saving the corporation billions of naira in projected contract inflation and shady deal making. And now you know that this will not get people, some shady personnel or officers of the NNPC smiling. Now, he has negotiated stale joint venture frameworks, and he has created a more investor-friendly climate, thereby rekindling investor confidence and driving up production volumes in some of Nigeria's key fields. Now, that's for the upstream asset optimization. Now, when it comes to gas development, Ojulari currently is pushing for the adoption of gas as both a transition and industrial fuel, aligning with the Tinubu administration's Decade of Gas initiative, which aims to create thousands of jobs and lower, energy cost. And then, of course, if you look at investment inflows, he's aggressively pursuing investment inflows targeting $30 billion by 2027 and $60 billion by 2030, and aiming to elevate oil production beyond 2 million barrels per day by 2027 and 3 million barrels per day by 2030. But there are challenges. Oil theft and vandalism is one. Of course, you might also want to consider underperforming refineries, where Nigerian refineries, they are currently, operating below capacity. But then that will be a big fat lie, because that's what we were told before now. But because they're moribund, and Ojulari is saying that, okay, let us revamp. Is it sane to want to revamp these refineries, which he says, and I quote, of obsolete? They've gone, most of its parts of that refinery have gone obsolete. Is it sane? And if it is not sane, what should be the next move? And then is it about selling off the refinery, or are we to start building our own national identity refinery now?
Well, I don't see where controversy will negate good things, coming out from the system. And honestly speaking, all these things you have railed out with regards to massive work or intervention and revamping or the energy sector that NNPCL is managing is what has always been said by any MD that comes in. You will hear beautiful, proposals, projects, targets, benchmark. They will set a lot of targets for themselves. And that period will come and go. They will give you valid and reasonable excuses, because it's only failure that has excuses. Or maybe when somebody fails in whatever target, he will begin to either apportion blame or see what he can give.
Okay.
I do not see where controversy will begin to show that it shows that something good is coming out from that field. If as enlightened, as exposed, as experienced as Mr. Ojulari is, he can begin to get himself involved with somebody that the authorities have already blacklisted or had controversial track record with regards to hiring of jets, arrangement of meetings, or what have you. What are we not saying? Of course, we will be in this country, maybe when this administration will come and go, and they begin to open the same cans of worms is opening with regards to Mela Kyari and other previous management. Then you understand what we are saying. So leave all these rhetorics that we have always seen. It was in this country that in the 90s we have Vision 2000. From 2000 we have Vision 2010, and so on and so forth. And we are still in that vision that appears to be visionless or ending vision. No government now comes again to tell you vision. In fact, this administration is telling us that it has a $1 trillion target. They will set up target. At the end of the day, they will give you reasons why they did not succeed in that target. For me, I do not believe anything that comes out from NNPC, because over time, they have failed. Over time, they have deceived Nigerians. Over time, they have misinformed us. They have deliberately, was it not a National Assembly that was reporting that they under-remitted over 14 trillion or thereabouts? That they are calling for further investigations. If it is where things are supposed to work the way they are supposed, without interference or with regards to issue of fight against corruption or insecurity, NNPC would have, EFCC and ICPC would have swapped without looking back. But when they go into work, it's either you hear presidency intervenes, or maybe they have a backlash with DSS, just like we have during the days of Godwin Emefiele, where they will be doing their work. You hear that Emefiele will be going with the military. If he's coming to airport, military will, flog him round. That prevents other agencies of government that are fighting corruption to do their work.
Right.
That is what we have. So I do not take anything they are saying to heart or to any place, because oftentimes they have shown to be business as usual. They will gather like minds, speak grammars, give retreats, lectures, do communique, issue statements, like they really have Nigeria at heart. If from these things you read that Ojulari is pushing with regards to revamping the system, why didn't he support the economy that is already struggling? Why would you want to do a retreat that they have not denied to Kigali? Can't the retreat be done in Nigeria? To the point of hiring over 5 jets. Do you know millions of dollars that have gone into that place? When our economy is already struggling. Honestly speaking, we will be here when this administration will be over. Then we will now do empirical record keeping and ask, you told us on so time that you want to do this, you want to do that. How far? So to me, I think we should privatize that sector. Sell off all those refineries that are not working. Concession it. Because it appears like this only thing that's supposed to be put in the major revenue that we have in this country. We are struggling to manage it. Since Jonathan left office, every successive president has become Minister of Petroleum. And they struggle even more. While Jonathan was president, he gave it to Desiani. Desiani appears to be more corrupt than even others that were before her. There were issues here and there. How do we manage this thing that even if you elect somebody tomorrow and he becomes president and he decides to be Minister of Petroleum, how can he come out clean with this kind of messy things that are coming out from NNPC? I think we need to concession it. If we cannot manage it by ourselves, let us concession it and know how much they will be remitting to us, whoever that we concession it to. Rather than every year we continue to bring one thing or the other. So Bayo cannot be coming at this time and be telling us they are attacking NNPC. Have they not been attacking NNPC from the time memorial?
Okay.
The stability you have in the petroleum prices now, was it not that of Dangote? Our own national assets, we wait until Dangote drops his price before they will drop. If it doesn't drop, they will not drop. That is to tell you the sincerity of what they are saying. It's supposed to be a competitor that it will drag those private sector to drop down their prices. But rather, it's private sector that is dragging them to drop their prices. Whereas they have crude, over 450,000 barrels of crude that is set out for local refining, for our own consumption. They're not supposed to be in that OPEC quota or target. Meaning that with that we can refine and stay cheaper. Fuel is not supposed to cost more than 150, 200 naira per liter.
You really believe that?
That is what it is. Not really believe, that is what it is. That is the honest truth about it. If not for all the things we do add-ons, we confuse ourselves. If you put sincere and the right, you ask yourself, why is it that even those modular refineries or illegal refineries that they are doing in Niger Delta, they sell cheaper? You ask yourself. And when they sell cheaper and those illegal work they do, sometimes they sell as low as 35 naira to 45 naira to those marketers when Buhari was there. That's what they said to them. They will now go and put it in their tank, from tank to those this ship that bring the fuel, and claim that they are imported fuel, and start selling over 190 80 something naira for us. Honestly speaking, if crude oil can produce more than 100 different items, including fertilizers we use, polymer, rubber, over 100 different items.
All right.
Meaning that if we decide even to give fuel free, we will still make gain. If we decide, okay, because Nigerians are suffering, let us just concentrate in profit making in other items. But for this fuel, let's just, for the good of our people, let's just give it at 200 naira. We'll still make profit.
Okay, comrade.
That is a fact.
All right, comrade. Well, let's take a couple of messages. Well, you've spoken comprehensive wisdom in this, regard. But we'll just take these messages, and of course, we call it a close. You are saying in your final thoughts that, hey, it is for us to concession NNPCL. Since there is so much palaver, katakata here and there, enough of it. It's time we concession it, and it's time that we begin to bring stricter punitive measures. In fact, if possible, the type of measures that come with capital punishment, if possible, as a deterrent.
Without delay, not that they will give judgments for it and they will just abandon you in one of the correctional facility. Government will come, government will go.
Okay. Well, thank you.
If a judgment is, with overwhelming evidence that you actually derail the progress of this country, you actually did this and that and that and this. Once you are coming out from that courtroom, you shouldn't be up to 24, 48 hours. They should call the executioner.
Right.
You see, some of these things will reduce.
Okay, comrade.
But because we are not doing this kind of things, don't be surprised in 2027 you see Melaki here in the ballot box.
Okay.
If it's not there, maybe we will sponsor one or two persons. It was in this country that CBN governor was still sitting, and they are purchasing a nomination for him to run for president.
But he's paying the price.
That tells the level of impunity, the way they have taken Nigerians.
It's paying the price now. Well, comrade, I can't go any further anymore, but thank you, far too kind, for adding your voice in the discourse this morning, though. Appreciate your time with us.
Thank you for having me.
Right. And yes, let's just take this time out and take your messages now. I see this one coming from Abaz. Abaz says, good morning to UD, good morning to you. On this NNPC palaver, what needs to be done now is for Ojulari to be honest with Nigerians, so his job is diligently okay. All right. Well, he says in the DNA of Nigerians that government It's in the DNA of Nigerians. A government organization, corporation, or institution don't work, just like Air Nigeria never works. So let this government not waste their money for any reviving process. It will end in the pockets of these individuals stealing the money. What I will advise Nigerian government is to hand over this refinery to private investors, and maybe government own like 25% of the refinery, just like how it's been done in some oil producing nations. There is too much cooperation in Nigeria, corruption, I guess. Even if that's money spent, the refinery will never work. All right, Samuel from Kuje is saying, UD, these people are just playing with our collective intelligence. It's not today that they started talking about putting our refineries in proper shape, but it all ended up being a talk show only for them to squander the monies allocated for doing what? For doing that. Please, they should find solution to the insecurity, hardship, kidnapping, terrorism, corruption, and that has taken over the country. They should stop using NNPCL to distract and divert our attention. All right, he says, have a wonderful day. Well, I see James right now from Suleja says, standing on existing protocols now. It says, this is James from Suleja. It is laughable we are having this conversation about revamping the refineries. Please, which of the refineries are we talking about? The very same ones they claimed was now working and back producing? UD, how many times have we had this conversation on this platform? How many times have the likes of supporters come to call us naysayers for saying the refineries haven't been working all along, despite claims and obvious lies by the government? At what point have the NNPCL even admitted to lying to Nigerians? Are we ignoring the lack of accountability, gross irresponsibility, transparency, and complete lack of credibility on the part of these people in charge? These people have countlessly lied to Nigerians and have not deemed it fit to even acknowledge their failings. And here we are talking about letting them continue to deceive us. Both the NNPCL and even the Dangote, we believe, is a savior at both sides of the same coin. They are part of the same consortium. Well, James, thank you for that. Anyways, this is what we call it a close. Couldn't go any further anymore. But yes, at the 10 o'clock hour will be time for the general open banter. But thank you. The truth is, hey, we will get it rightly. That's what Triple D says. I believe that.